internally, I am ahead of all of these people. Nobody's going to judge me. I'm not the weird guy hitting the bag. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. There's a confidence that comes with that. That's why fitness is always a really good example when we talk about stuff like this. I'm very confident in the gym, but that's because I've done it for so long.
Maybe you feel insecure around people where the contrast is too big, like you're way ahead, or you feel insecure when the contrast is too big in the other direction. Maybe every human being feels insecure when the contrast is too big.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1854, what if your perception of yourself is wrong? My laptop sounds like it's about to take off. It has booted up its engines, the propellers are spinning at full speed, and it is about to launch through my ceiling. All right. Why are we doing this episode, Alan? I'm in a very goofy mood. We're recording this on Friday night, so I'm in a very goofy mood. Did I give you any context of why we were doing this episode? Good sir.
No, not really.
I didn't. Okay.
So earlier today I was talking on a podcast. I was on a Confessions of a Successful Leader was the name of this show. And I was talking about the 3 circles of the ego, which is the outer layer. I've talked about it before. But for the new NLU listeners, welcome. What's happening? The outer layer is who you want others to believe you are. The next layer in is who you want to believe you are. And then the inner layer is who you really are. And I talked about how in my car accident, all of those circles collapsed. And I since have worked really hard to have those 3 circles be the same. So who I want you to believe I am, listener, who I want to believe I am, and who I really am, I want them to be the same. Now, no one's is fully the same, but I'm trying to get them as close as possible. Some people are better than they think. Some people are worse than they think. Everyone has a reputation versus what's real behind the scenes. And let's talk about it.
That's today's episode in a nutshell. Strong work. I was on a podcast, as I often am. Love podcasts, huge fan, big fan of them. And we were talking about how I've told this not story, but kind of the direction of the story. I was really good at baseball, but I thought I just got luckier more often than other people. I didn't really think I was good. I got complimented all the time. It was a thing. I was really good, but I just thought, yeah, I get luckier more often than other people. And then I went through kind of my story of
Wildly
irrational. My dad left, the son of a bitch. What do you think's going to happen? For some people, that's like a massive strength. It's like, I'm going to prove him wrong. For me, it was like, God, I suck. I must really suck.
I don't mean to, I went on a pre-call for a podcast earlier and starting to figure out what Kevin and I's Friday has looked like here.
Yeah.
She said, that's so interesting that you both didn't have fathers. Did you know that there's research they've done with men without fathers end up very successful statistically? I haven't done the research myself, so do not quote that because I have no idea. But she said it's the sort of chip on your shoulder, prove your father that you were of value type of thing. So who knows? I mean,
interesting.
Maybe we will be a statistic one day, Kev.
Well, we already are in many ways, I'm sure, right? We're already a statistic in some way. And that's
nice.
Numbers.
Where were you going with all that?
I had a point. It was good. Fire. Maybe the best point ever on this podcast. Now it's gone. It's left me. Out of me. No. That
Baseball?
Created... Yeah. No, we're good. I'm just teasing. I'm in a weird place right now. A good place, but I'm just in a weird... It's Friday. I don't know. I'm all giddy today. I'm writing a book. I'm about to be an author. I'm going to write a book before Alan does.
It's written 1 chapter.
I'm done. It's in my mind. It's done. I know I can do it now. Now I actually think I'm capable of doing it because I started.
Nice.
Now it's like, this is actually easier than I thought it was going to be. Interesting. But before, it was this giant mountain. And that kind of speaks to what we're talking about. Okay. Thought I got lucky in baseball. I believed that my view of myself was different than everybody else. Everybody would say, oh my God, he's so good. Oh, if we're down by 2 runs, we want Kevin to be up to the plate. I don't want to be up to the plate. I'm going to strike out. I don't want to be up to the plate. I'm terrified. I don't want to be up to the plate. What if I lose the game in front of everybody? What if I let everybody down? Fast forward. I said this on a podcast the other day. I said, the gas station for me, working at a gas station when all of my friends were away at college, was a really good experience and a really good understanding of self-worth, even though I didn't know that's what it was. Because there would be attractive girls that would come in that I knew, and I always assumed they thought I was a loser. I'm sure some of them did, for sure. I'm sure some of them did. But did they all? I don't know.
Definitely
I talked to many of them outside of work. I think my reality got created by the fact that I thought I was a loser. So no matter what I did, I never would feel good about myself. It didn't matter. I asked this question to somebody on a podcast recently. I said, when you feel really bad about something, when you feel like a failure, when you feel incomplete, one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, what would it take for you not to feel that way? What would it take, Kev, for you to not feel like a loser? Would it be a 6-figure job? Yeah, it helped. But no. Would it be a really nice body? I don't think that really, that helped in its own way. No, it's the inner stuff. So I believe my perception of myself was way off, way under. And that when you hear us talk about the Drive to 5, that's what we're really saying. I think now I'm probably more accurate, but I had a moment recently where...
Maybe a little over on this one.
Yeah, very well.
I'm joking. I genuinely think it's great.
I would say when I am in a comedy, one of these moods, I'm not under. It's really hard to be funny when you're under.
Yeah, it is.
Externally.
You said one time to me, behind the scenes, that you think a lot of comedy is people who aren't actually secure being overly inflated and entitled. And it's funny. Can you go into that briefly? Yeah,
just the way you said it. No, just the way you said. Can you go into that? Can you go into that briefly? You've been saying that a lot lately. For some reason, when you're a comedian, you get to be arrogant for a living. Kind of.
Yeah.
And it's almost funny because it seems so wild that you could possibly be that arrogant. And here's the thing. I'm convinced a lot of these comedians actually are that arrogant because when you start watching them have their own podcasts, the colors emerge pretty quickly. And a lot of them are, they're not good people, I don't think. I don't think they're really good people. So it's kind of easy to get away with it.
Well, it's
like
a low-vibe industry, right?
Yeah. And again, I'm a comedy... No, I'm not anymore. I used to be a big comedy fan, and then it was like, I can't really listen to this. I can't really... If this is what you talk about in front of the scenes, what do you talk about behind the scenes?
Yeah.
That's always a thought I have. If you're okay with talking about this...
There's also a ton of sexism and all that stuff, too.
Racism, sexism, all that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And you got to be very on the edge to be
it's
funny.
A little too much. Yeah.
It is. So
it's also
I don't know.
shock value comedy, but anyways.
Yeah. So the ultimate thought in this episode was that what if your perception of yourself is wrong and you're thinking that everybody thinks about you the same way you think about you? Alan didn't think of me the same way I thought about me in the beginning. You thought I could be successful. I didn't. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I could be successful. And what if one of the reasons I've tried to stay so close to you is because I know in the moments where I lose that belief, you don't. So what if that's like the reinvigoration of belief? When I need belief, I go to you. I say, hey man, what do I do? I don't know if I can do it. And then boom.
Clarity on what to do gives certainty, which is belief. That's what belief is. I was on with a client earlier, and I said, people need to believe they need 4 things in order to work with you. Number 1, they need to be able to trust you as a person. They need certainty that you aren't going to hoodwink them or scam them or rip them off. So the second one is they need to believe in your brand. This is all unconscious. They need to be certain about your brand. They also need to be certain about your product or service, and then they need to be certain that it's worth the price. That's sales in a nutshell right there. It's certainty. So if you're certain that Kevin is trustworthy, and you're certain that he's going to be a great podcast coach, and you're certain that NLU is a trustworthy brand, Kev, you're freaking me out. I don't know. For those of you only on audio, he is being funny on camera. And you need to be certain that it's going to be worth the price. if you have all of those certainties stacked, you will take action. The same is true in our own life. So when you are supposed to get a home run at the end of the game or whatever, or to get on baseball, you are uncertain that you're going to be able to hit the ball, but they are more certain. So you were under, meaning you thought you were worse than you really were, and some of them probably thought you were better than you really were. I think, and I was on with a listener earlier, so shout out to Caitlin. Caitlin, what's happening? We actually went to high school with her. I was on a breakthrough session with her earlier, and I said, well, you have your real world and you have your social world. We all do. Your real world is who you are and what you believe and what you do when no one's watching. That's the real world. That's the tangible, non-vanity metrics. That's who you actually freaking are. And then you have the social world, which is your reputation, which is who people think you are. And I playfully joke, I just use Leonardo DiCaprio as an example. Don't associate me with him necessarily, but he had a lot of great films growing up that I loved. And I said in the social world, he's here and I'm here. In the real world, it might be the other way around. We just don't know it. And I think that's why sometimes people have a lot of social anxiety, is because they're fearful of being different. And this is to my conversation with Caitlin earlier. They're fearful of being different than people expected. Because everyone has an expectation. I look very different than I am. My perception, I think people's perception of me, particularly when I was a fitness model, was that I was an idiot. And I get it. I looked like an idiot. So the contrast between what I really was and what I look like was so drastic that I think it messes with people. And you said I checked too many boxes or whatever. But ultimately, we are all fearful of the social world being different than the real world. And I think we're all trying to bridge those two. And vanity metrics are how many followers I have. 28,000 followers on Instagram. But in the real world, who I am is different than that.
I saw that. I saw your profile today, and I was like, I completely forgot you had that many followers.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that. I remember in the beginning,
the fitness
I was like,
days.
This dude must be successful AF. I surround myself with him. It ain't what you think it is. I was waiting for you when you said, yeah, when I was younger and I was a fitness model, everybody thought I was an idiot. Perfect comedic timing. Pause 3 seconds and say, I was, but not as much as everybody thought I was. Missed out on a huge opportunity there for you.
I don't believe I am. I can't say that because
you were more of an idiot than you are today.
Definitely.
I could say it. It's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't want to.
My Alexa is blinking at me. I want to. Hey Alexa, clear all notifications.
Strong work. I had a point, and it was good.
Do you think that's what social anxiety is? Is you're afraid to be different than what people expect?
No, I think social anxiety is the fear and discomfort of the uncertainty that comes with meeting people you don't know. I would say. Yeah. Alan and I went to a party one time. It was a networking party, and I was terrified. Nobody knew me there, so there is no difference between what you think of me and what I actually am. You don't know me. I'm just afraid that...
No, but you were afraid to be, quote-unquote, found out, that you weren't going to belong and people were not going to think that you were intelligent or whatever because you looked bro. Hello, NLU listener. Thank you, as always, for listening to Next Level University. Real quick, I just want to jump in and let you know about the Next Level Dreamliner. This is a journal that I use every single day. Achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. It breaks down your dreams into goals, milestones, and daily habits. We hope you enjoy it. The link will be in the show notes.
I think it's more the uncertainty of what happens when this conversation hits a lull. For me, at least. I don't know. I'm sure everybody probably has a different thing. It's weird, too. I did a podcast breakthrough session today with people I've never met before, because that's the majority of people I talk to. And I'm singing and dancing just like I am right now. And I don't think about that at all. But that's because this is where I'm so comfortable. In the real life, it's different. Real life. This isn't real life. It is, but I have so many reps in this chair. It's just completely different than when I go out to the supermarket. It's just different. And I would say I'm more outgoing than the average person, but probably not as much as I am right here.
Well, in the supermarket, you're not certain people are going to see your value.
I assume they're not. So here's the thing. This is where it gets wonky. Alan and I go to a bar together, hypothetically. We don't. Maybe twice
So
in
every good joke starts.
Yeah. Who's going to get more, statistically speaking, who's going to get more attention, Alan or I? No, it's not going to be me. I got to pick someone uglier to go to the bar with and shorter than me, which would be good. If my perception of myself, because here's where you could go in two different directions. If my perception of myself is it doesn't matter, I'm a stud and I can get anybody I want here. Doesn't matter that Alan's taller than me and has model. Doesn't matter. Would I get better outcomes? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Or if I think to myself, because, okay, if all the other people there don't think the way I think, I'm probably going to get found out and I'm going to look arrogant or whatever it is. That's why it's so hard. So much of it is figuring out what is real. Because some of that is true. I'm probably not going to get the same amount of attention. When we go to the gym, I might get different attention. I was watching a video the other day. I was going through my old photos. And I was watching a video of me hit the bag.
All three of them?
All three.
Kevin and I joke all the time because we do presentations and we can never find any. A picture's worth 1,000 words. In Kevin's case, he has 3 of them.
Yeah, I have 3,000 words worth of value in my phone. Well, these are
anywhere
videos.
From 2015 prior, there's not a single picture of Kevin.
Yeah, scrubbed off the internet. I didn't even exist. Off the grid. Off the grid. I was hitting the punching bag at the old gym, Crunch in Worcester. And dude, I remember how confident I felt. Do you know why? Because nobody else there was into martial arts, really. Internally, I am ahead of all of these people. Nobody's going to judge me. I'm not the weird guy hitting the bag. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's a confidence that comes with that. That's why fitness is always a really good example when we talk about stuff like this. I'm very confident in the gym, but that's because I've done it for so long.
You know what I just connected is I was on with someone earlier who said, I think fear of success, fear of being judged, and the delta between who she really is versus who people think she is. You and I, if I'm fearful of success or fearful of not fitting in because I'm afraid I'm going to be too, what did I say, ubiquitous earlier?
Yes.
Earlier, as if it was today.
It might have
been. It was either today or yesterday or whatever. One of the recent episodes.
Yeah.
And you said, stop making me feel so stupid. You were being playful. However, I do realize that the more intellectual when I let my intellectual freak flag fly, for lack of better phrasing, it does make people who don't feel intelligent insecure. If I'm insecure about being more than or smarter than or whatever, too much, and you're insecure about not being enough, they feed each other. Those two feed each other. And so if you're out there listening or watching, maybe you feel insecure around people where the contrast is too big, like you're way ahead, or you feel insecure when the contrast is too big in the other direction. Maybe every human being feels insecure when the contrast is too big.
I think it's very... The hard part is when I admit that I don't feel good enough, usually it gets viewed as vulnerable. When you admit that you feel whatever your label is, I won't label it, I don't know if people can empathize with that. Because I think more people feel the way I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's almost like...
Oh, wait, you're upset that you feel too smart?
Yeah, how arrogant are you that you are... being so smart is vulnerable for you?
Oh, it's that. It's super vulnerable.
I know that.
I know you know. It's just, yeah. You know, I do say this too. There's got to be a downside to that, right? I say that often and there are certain clients that I've had in the past that struggle with this as well. And you know what's interesting too? I think the bigger the contrast, the more uncertainty. Because I think human beings, Maslow's hierarchy of needs doesn't have Emilia said this a while back, and I really agree with her, even though at the time I didn't know if I did or not yet. She said Maslow's hierarchy is doesn't have belonging on it. That's a big L. And the hierarchy of needs, physical needs, and all this stuff. You can look up Maslow. Google it. Belonging isn't on it. Belonging is the number one need of humans. I agree with her 100%. When you're a little infant, a kid, you crave belonging because belonging meant survival.
Yeah.
And I think when the contrast is too large between people, it creates uncertainty out of a survival mechanism. And I just happen to be on the higher statistical end of that contrast more often. And so I'm much more comfortable when I'm less than, because I believe in myself and I want to learn, and it's very safe there for me. I like that. I enjoy that. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm uncomfortable too. When I used to train with you and Matt, there were times where I would feel a little bit uncomfortable of how far ahead he was and you were, but him more than you. But I'm comfortable there. That's my comfort zone. I prefer to be the person behind trying to catch up. And I think that's, for everyone out there watching or listening, the bigger the contrast between you and the people you're around, the more uncertainty it will create.
My question to wrap this all up would be, what would have to happen in order for you to feel more accurate? And that's not me saying I have the answer. I don't know. Is it results? I don't know. I think the more results I get as a podcaster, the more confident I become as a podcaster, probably. I don't think that's unrealistic to say. So if I'm ever doubting myself as a podcaster and I compare our results to where we were 5 years ago, I'm probably going to feel better. But everybody has a different thing. So what is it that would have to happen in the internal or external world for you to bring your perception of yourself closer to the reality of who you actually are? That would be the question that I would end with.
Mine would be this person I was on with earlier, and they wouldn't mind me sharing this. We did this sort of triangle, and I said, okay, well, where do you feel the most expressed? And they said, who? I'll keep that anonymous. Okay, where do you feel the most suppressed, not expressed at all? They said, and I'll keep that anonymous too. And then I said, where were you at 5? Where do you feel like kind of expressed but not fully? I said, okay, well, there you go. The size of the contrast between what they expect of you and who you really are is completely congruent with that. So 0 to 10, if they're 100% suppressed, aka 0 expression, it's most likely because you're so afraid that they're expecting a different version of you. And so when let me wrap this in a bow here. When you're fearful and vulnerable and you feel insecure socially, it's probably when, I think, this is my thesis, at least for me, when what they're expecting you to be is drastically different than what you intend to show. So if you're expecting a speech on podcasting and I come in and give engineering advice, the audience will be disappointed, and then that will trigger my insecurities, which will make it even worse. So just hopefully that all made sense.
Where does one even start a speech about engineering?
Systems thinking and math and reverse engineering design.
Talk about bridges. That's civil engineering, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of different
I know some stuff too.
Nice.
I'm going to give a speech on
What do you think of when you think of an engineer? Like, what is the perception of an engineer?
If you asked me that before I met you, I would say computer geek. That's it. I would have nothing else.
Fair.
I didn't know what an engineer was.
Yeah. Design. People who design things.
I would say designer. Probably a bridge. I'd probably be like, oh, you built bridges. Shit. Cool. Good for you, man.
Definitely design. They design bridges. They design. Then there's architects versus engineers. Yeah, it's all fascinating.
Life's weird, Life's weird. You have something to say quickly before we go?
No, I would say the last thing would be try to label yourself based on what you want to be, and then allow the world to handle the discomfort and have the courage to sit in that. I was so afraid to lean into my engineering part. I was so afraid to be so different because I'm so different. And I think that being different it takes a lot of courage. I have reverence for it, and it's hard.
I agree. Me leaning into being vulnerable about not feeling good enough was hard. I thought I had to have the answer to everything all the time. I thought that's what it meant to be successful, to be knowledgeable, quote unquote. And my takeaway on a podcast today was, I know it might look like I have it figured out and I might be successful and blah, 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 but I still have all the self-doubts that I used to. It's just less. Just way less than it, but I still have it. I don't know if that'll ever go away. Don't know. Even that might make me sound like I know less. Like, well, Kev, how are you going to help me overcome something that you haven't overcome? I think there's certain things that you never overcome, you just get better at.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thesis, at least. Okay, Next Level Nation, if you are looking for a group of like-minded humans who are into growth, evolution, mindset, peak performance, habit tracking, looking at the ego, relationships, leveling up, life, love, health, and wealth, we have a private Facebook group called Next Level Nation. We'll have the link in the show notes. We'd love to have you there.
Our company, Kevin and myself, NLU, shout out to the team, grow yourself, grow your podcast, grow your business. If you are out there and you want to grow yourself, or you want to grow a podcast, or you want to start and grow a business, please reach out. My link for a free breakthrough session will be in the show notes. Kevin's link for a free breakthrough session will be in the show notes. If you want to grow yourself, you can choose either of us. If you want to grow your podcast, choose Kevin. If you want to grow your business, choose me. We really hope to meet you. We love to meet our listeners. That's what I was talking about from earlier today. It's our favorite thing. Please reach out.
I'm about to be an author. So, that's real. That's real stuff. I'm about to be an author, podcast author. So, you know what I mean? I can't fake that. You can't fake through a book. You can. Actually, many people do. Real quick. One of the things I'm potentially excited about, I don't know and I don't care, but if I do become an Amazon bestseller, I'm excited to tell people exactly how many books it required me to sell to make that happen.
Nice.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Even though, again, it might make me look like an idiot.
Maybe we'll be like the self-improvement industry mythbusters.
We're big on creating awareness.
Yeah.
I want to create awareness. I don't want to use the lack of awareness to make me look better. I don't want to do that. I did that for the first 25 years of my life. I don't want to do it for the last 200 years of my life. The math checks out, trust me. Next Level Nation, as always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans, we have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.